Go Pizza presents SCP.
Check this.
The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde.
Your favorite person in the world?
Who's that?
Logan Paul.
Oh my God!
You told me he had like a week or something. He had a day.
He had a day.
Oh, just a day. All that stuff happened.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday he uploaded a video in which he tased a dead rat, and people got very upset about that. And I think the day before, he performed a citizen's arrest because someone broke into his home.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a little sub-tweet-a-thon about him.
Did you really?
A couple days ago? Yeah.
I'm sure he saw it.
Oh, I bet. I bet. No, it's just something that's been. I couldn't help but notice it, Jesse.
Okay, for anybody who's listening to this who doesn't know, Logan Paul is one of the.
I'm sure they know. But
I'm sure,
go
but
ahead.
for anyone who's listening who's above the age of 20, probably you don't know, but Logan Paul, he's one of the biggest YouTubers on earth right now.
Top 50.
Top 50. He's currently sitting at, I'm just typing in his channel, his Logan Paul Vlogs channel is sitting at 16 million subscribers. His most recent video has 485K views in 3 hours.
That's what I get in a month. Oh my God.
There you go. So, yeah, he's been in the news recently because he's been doing a whole bunch of controversial videos, especially the one where he went to a place in Japan where people often commit suicide.
Yeah.
And he shot a video with one of the dead bodies.
He did, but he blurred it out.
But he blurred it out. Yeah. So he's been on a roll of late where he just continues to kind of ramp it up, but not go as far as that video that brought him all that mainstream attention.
So what I couldn't help but notice was that controversy broke right around Christmas. And one of the things, I think it was just after Christmas, I might be wrong. One of the things that happens every year with YouTube, and I had to kind of introduce you and Adam to that last year when we sort of just started getting into our YouTube channel a little bit more, was our money plummets. The money we make off of videos plummets in January. Well, why is that? Well, the money is based on ad revenue. Well, who's behind ad revenue? Advertisers. Why do advertisers spend money? They want you to buy stuff. When do people buy stuff? October, November, December. January, no.
Mm-hmm. That's why, if you're ever looking to buy something, you buy it the second or third week of January. Because chances are it's going to be on sale, and it's going to be a great deal, and no one else wants it.
Yep, basically. That's basically it. So I looked at it. The entire month of January, revenue is cut almost in half for like the months previous. For the first 2 weeks, of January, it's less than half. Oh God, it's less than half. So if you were
because no one's advertising on the videos,
no one's advertising. Yeah. So if you were a prominent YouTuber, and it's moving more and more towards the big YouTubers not really caring about the ad revenue model because they're getting increasingly unhappy about it.
They also have other sources. It's like,
they have merch and stuff.
Exactly, and I know like ASAP Science, like.
Yes.
All their videos now, they don't do videos just to do videos. It's okay. We partnered with Discovery Channel.
It's sponsored.
And this video is brought to you by Discovery Channel. So they don't care if I don't even think they can put ads on it because somebody already paid them to make this video, which is more money than they'd ever make off ads. So they don't care.
I have it on good authority, and this was years ago. This was at least half a decade ago. The CFL went to Epic Mealtime. Huge YouTube channel, much bigger a few years ago, and Canadian. Mm-hmm. So perfect partner. So they're like, okay, we're going to do a big Grey Cup video. So it'll be like, your Super Bowl, chicken wings
Grey
video.
Cup.
What did I say?
You said Super Bowl.
No, Super Bowl. So it'll be like a Super Bowl video where they talk about all the food you got to have for the big game, but they're going to do the Grey Cup equivalent of that, and it's going to be Epic Mealtime. And I was told Epic Mealtime was like, oh, that sounds great. Yeah, we love the CFL. We'd love to do that. It's $100,000.
And the CFL said,
Yeah, all right. Well, what's the salary cap for like a CFL team? Isn't it like $250,000?
Yeah,
or
I was
something
about
like
to
that?
say that's like half of a roster.
Yeah, they
you
can't
know?
afford that. So they were just like, all right, thanks.
Yeah.
So that fell through. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is so ad revenue gets completely slashed in January, in the first 2 weeks of January in particular.
Did you know that the CFL balls are bigger?
I didn't.
Yeah.
Really?
At one point through the mid 2000s,
Oh.
the catchphrase of the CFL was "Our balls are bigger." When they were trying to compete, I'm doing air quotes right now, compete with the NFL. Anyways, I always like to bring that up.
We have the Rouge, didn't really catch on, so they went with that. So
we have 2 Rough Rider teams.
Do we still?
At one point,
Yeah.
not anymore.
So anyway, if you were ever, if you were a big YouTuber and you wanted to build your profile while also not getting arrested and take a month off, you might want to release a little controversy just, around the new year, and then upload your apology video very early in January, disappear, do a follow-up video 2 weeks later, kind of making amends, and then do your big comeback video about 2 weeks later. Philip DeFranco's big thing, so he was on vacation when this broke out, and he just went, so here's what Logan Paul did, here's what he's going to do next. And then he's going to do this, and then he's going to do this. And he freaking, like, bang, 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 nailed every point. And then I looked at the actual dollars and cents of it. I'm like, this freaking guy did it on purpose. Because I tweeted, I was like, if Logan Paul is fabulously rich. The guy has like
Right now, yeah.
$8 million house in Calabasas or something like that. He makes just a ridiculous amount of money. He makes the amount of YouTube money that I do in a month. And what was it, 3 hours?
Oh, views?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was 3 hours. He has almost 400K views.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he makes way more merch and all that. So he's fabulously rich. I go, why doesn't he hire a manager to tell him not to do this stupid stuff? And a bunch of people were smart enough to tweet me. They're like, actually, we know who his manager is, and he's a really brilliant guy. Mm-hmm. So none of this is by accident. Mm-hmm. You don't film, edit, and upload something like that by accident. You just don't. And so too many things line up perfectly.
So to break down your conspiracy theory, well, your kind of factual what Logan Paul did is in December, he did the dead body thing in Japan. Yeah. And then because he knows...
We'll get to sports. Shut up.
Because he knows... We'll get to basketball. Okay?
Shut up and enjoy your mashed potatoes.
This is all mashed potatoes. We'll get to the steak. Sometimes you need to eat the bread first, okay? Lobster rolls?
But there you go.
Incredible.
Yes.
Here's your lobster roll. So Logan Paul knows that coming up in January, ad revenue is going to be a little low. I'm going to take a couple weeks off, just like Philip DeFranco did in January. He took a couple weeks off.
I think he did, yeah. I don't remember if that's how he planned it or anything. And I would never do that, obviously, because my schedule is completely different. It's dependent on the league schedule.
You get the summers off. Because
there you go.
Just like your wife, you are a teacher, and you only work during the other months of the year.
Yeah, you got it. No, I don't know where this came from.
Exactly. So yeah,
I just couldn't help it.
He does his controversy in December, takes a couple weeks off in January, comes back with his apology video, and then now he's back to his videos. And
I think it was H3. And another huge YouTube channel. They took time off in January because it's in half. Mm-hmm. They cut it in half. If you're ever going to take time off, and they've talked about YouTube fatigue because a lot of YouTubers they're uploading. I saw a video recently.
I'm going to circle back to YouTube fatigue after you say your point.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, do your thing.
But no, I saw a video recently because I did a little research on Twitch because I want to start doing Twitch. More Twitch. I have an account. I just haven't really done anything on it.
More Twitch, more life.
Yes.
Hashtag.
More Twitch. In this video I saw that was really well done. They're like, yeah, you got to Twitch stream 4 to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm like, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. But people do it and they get wildly successful. But you need to weigh that against how much you like your life. Do I want to be hugely successful at this and play video games for a living? Or do I want to hate those video games after a very short amount of time? Mm-hmm. Dude, I couldn't. If I had to watch hockey 12 days or 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, I don't think I'd like it much anymore.
You watch hockey about 3 hours. Well, we all do, kind of 3 hours, 82 times a year, plus all the playoffs. And then anytime you're watching any other team. So it's a balance.
It is a balance. Variety is important.
Mm-hmm.
Variety is very important. I worked at Leafs TV when they finished second last, and I was watching as much hockey as I do now, but I was like re-watching Leaf games and like watching them lose 6-1 to the Caps.
Which isn't
like
fun.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. That got really fatiguing. When I worked at NHL Network and I'm watching God knows how many games a night, but it's like Stars Preds and Oilers Flames, and that I've never loved hockey more than then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've never loved the league more than I did during the 3 months or whatever that I worked there, but I love the Leafs more than I ever have.
So, in conclusion, Logan Paul, you think, planned his controversy?
I don't know if he did, but someone in his camp did.
His camp did? Okay.
Or they did genuinely screw up, and it was and they just played it absolutely perfectly.
Yeah.
In terms of their success, not and some people are going to be like, "What? No, I didn't say in terms of being a good person. I just said they're like." I was talking to someone on the way here, and they're like, "Oh yeah, no, it's PR 101."
Mm-hmm. And Philip DeFranco, he basically said the same thing as you said.
Yeah. And he wasn't like outraged about it. He's just like, "It's going to be this, this, and this."
That's how it works.
Watch. And then 2 weeks later,
okay,
there it was.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I got a lot of people asking me about that when it happened.
No, it's interesting because we never really talk about the YouTube side of things, even though you're a YouTuber. We usually just stick to hockey. So it's good that now that Adam's away, we get to dive deep into these weird topics. Because
it's something that's important to me. I love the back end YouTube stats, and I just remember last year being like, "What did we do? What did we do wrong? What happened?" And I go, "Was viewership down?" And that was the thing. So you had to do a calculation for your money versus minutes watched and money versus views, and I did that for all the months. And January was like into the earth's crust.
Even though our viewership didn't decrease at all.
No, and anything, last week of January it was good, and its first week of February it went back to normal.
There you go.
Because all these companies are so rigid.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably in their plan. February 1st, spend X amount of dollars, and then it's all back.
It's literally how advertising works. They stick to their schedule and they know it.
Yep.
Anyways, would you? Don't say sorry.
Very inside baseball.
Inside baseball is
inside
good, like
hockey.
I said last time.
Inside basketball.
Inside basketball. We're going to call Luke Fox in about 25 minutes.
Yes.
But before that, let's talk about last night's game. So, you and I were down there at the ACC with a couple of buddies.
Yes.
Named Kevin and Will, who we know from Nashville.
That's right. We saw Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final with them.
Yes. So Kevin is the one who tweeted us last year around the beginning of the season, and he said, if the Nashville Predators make it to the Stanley Cup Final, I will buy your ticket to the game, Steven. And then I favorited that tweet. I kept it, and then I brought it back up around when the Preds were in the playoffs last year, and then we kind of had our little build-up. If you were listening at the time, you heard us talk about, hey, are the Preds actually going to do this? Are we actually going to Nashville?
Yeah.
And then it happened. They made it to the Stanley Cup Final, and we're like, damn, we have to book a trip. And we went down there, and we spent, 3-4 days?
3.
3 days down there. Kevin hosted us the entire time.
Oh, great. Yeah, just showed us around. There were all these like chain places we could have got hot chicken, and he goes, no. And he basically brought us into like a public pool changing room.
Yeah.
That happened to have a restaurant in it. And it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Authentic, greasy, spicy, sweating off of my face.
Yeah, we got to go see like the Strip. I don't know what they call it there. What is Broadway?
Broadway?
Is it Broadway?
I think it's Broadway.
Yeah, we saw Broadway. We're all like, you go to any single bar, you walk down that street, and you go in the front door, there's a live band.
Live band.
Or a musician with a guitar, just music playing, and it's live, and it's incredible.
It's a hell of a thing to have as your thing.
Yeah.
You know, Amsterdam has like weed and pancakes, but like that is much more fun.
And Canada has nice people and Albertans.
This is okay. So Kevin and Will they're gallivanting around Toronto for the next few days. We've said this on the show before. Like, I don't think it's that great of a tourist destination. It's just kind of a nice place to be. And
Toronto,
live.
the city itself?
Yeah. Like, okay,
Yeah.
what's our thing? What's the thing you do here? CN Tower, all right, they did that day
Yeah.
one. Hockey Hall of Fame, they did that day one. So what now what?
In
They
terms
saw a league
of
game day one.
In terms of attractions, yeah, we're low on that.
We're very
but
low.
the city itself, I find, is just such a great city. So you have
Spectacular food city.
you have to spend like
Whatever you
a
want.
week here and just absorb everything, like all the culture it has to offer. And I think if you can live in it for like a week, you'll be like, oh my God, Toronto's amazing. But if you're coming in here for 2 days, you can't enjoy Toronto.
Yeah, we did that.
It's not a good 2-day place.
No, me and Mrs. Dangle did that with New York a few years ago. That was stupid. And we also did that with London, England, which was really stupid.
You gotta spend like a month in London to have fun.
Seriously. Oh, we did some cool stuff.
Okay.
We went to Westminster Abbey and we're at the tomb of a king who died in like the year 1100. And I'm just looking at it like I have no reference for that. Like there are blocks that like city blocks that have several buildings that are older than this country.
It's insane.
Yeah, I had a difficult time wrapping my head around that.
Yeah, when you try and think about that scope of time. And
There's
you're
not a
like,
whole lot of things that begin with 16 here. Or like,
Yeah.
you know.
Have you ever been to Egypt at all and seen the pyramids?
Have I been to Egypt? No.
And seen the pyramids? No, neither have
I don't even know if I'd be able to process that.
I. No. Even something like the Grand Canyon. That's
Even
been here
mountains.
before.
Yeah.
Like Adam's down in Sedona right now, and he's around all those mountains, and you see him on like Instagram and Twitter. And he's tweeting nonstop. But you look at like that rock structure that's been here before humans.
There's lots of like very subtle, trippy things, like the mountains in Vancouver. But when I was in Vegas, I was up on like a higher floor of the hotel, and I was just looking out onto the horizon. Okay, like Vegas just stops. Buildings, desert.
Yeah.
And I was just looking. I'm like, how far would I have to walk before like I'd be in peril? Half an hour.
Yeah,
I think.
And no one could save you because you would be dead on the side of a road
How
being
far-
eaten by a crow.
How far would I have to walk until it starts to look like the part of Grand Theft Auto 5 where Trevor lives?
I don't
Sandy Shores.
get that reference, but I'm sure everyone listening does. So
you were
can.
there for Adam's bachelor party.
I didn't pay enough attention to know who Trevor is. I've never played GTA 5.
You're wrong. It's an excellent video game.
I play sports games,
So do I.
and that is it.
You can golf and play tennis in Grand Theft Auto.
I hear that, but I feel like that's not as fun as playing the golf and tennis games
You could
that
also
are available.
like do rocket launchers.
Or
That's a game.
or I can play Chell. Anyways,
Yeah, Leaf game.
so Kevin, he's here. He came up this week with his buddy Will. They hosted us. So last night we went out to the game with them. Return the favor. Adam's not here, so we couldn't reunite the whole squad. But the four of us went to the game, and it was a damn good game to watch.
It was a very tight game.
Yeah.
A tight game, some lucky bounces both ways. And I think what should have happened, which was both teams got a point.
Mm-hmm.
It was an even affair. It was tied up. One in the shootout. I know the shots don't suggest it was an even affair. I feel like the Leafs have a habit of having a terrible 5 to 10 minute stretch. And then you look at the, end of night stats and you go, oh, they got caved in. But for the most part, they actually look good. They outplayed the Preds big time for the first, I would say, 15 minutes of the game. Final 5 minutes of the first, they sucked and scored. So they're a bizarre team.
There were moments where Freddie had to bail us out, which he does.
At least 2 split saves. That one on Johansson was crazy.
Coming down to the end of the game, insane. Yeah.
He's been incredibly good.
And it was great to hear. I saw it on Twitter. I forget who tweeted it, but they were comparing the Freddie chants to the Eddie chants that used to happen for Belfour back in the day.
Oh, was that? I want to say Mike Zeisberger.
Yeah, I think it was Zeisberger. Yeah. And I was like, and we were there for the Freddie chants. It was cool to see the entire arena get behind and recognize what he's doing for this team because he's been a top 5. Is it too much to say?
Top 10 for sure.
Top 10 goalie in the league for the entire season. When was the last time we had that stable goaltending? It's great.
Last year, honestly, last year outside of October.
Yeah.
I think people were still. It was a weird thing with Freddie. It's so hard being a goalie, especially a new goalie. Like with a new team, you just come in and you're the starter now. Like not everyone has success right away. Mike Smith has been like the backbone of the Calgary Flames this year, but he didn't start great. And then he had the injury too. So that was difficult. But Freddie comes in, 5-year contract, sucks in his first month as a Leaf. That's so bad. But he gets it back. But even by the playoffs, fans still weren't sure. He let in a couple wonky goals inside of an otherwise good performance. Comes back to start the season, sucks again. But, I mean, he's just been so dominant November, December, January, and now February that, I mean, I think it's pretty undeniable. And I can't remember what all the stats were, but it was something like since November 30th or whatever, he's like a top 5 goalie in the league. It's like him, Vasilevsky, Hellebuck, Rask, and I want to say Rene.
In terms of save percentage?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's excellent. He's excellent. Gives the Leafs a chance to win every game. The Leafs goaltending gives them a chance to win every game. McElhinney too.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The one game Pickard was in, he wasn't great, but they were in it the whole time. So.
And then, so we watched the game, and then after the game, during the second intermission, actually, we get to meet Dark Guy.
Yeah, you got to meet Dark Guy.
I got to meet Dark Guy. First time in person. We had him on the podcast before,
right.
so I met him through the telephone, but never in person. One of the nicest people in Toronto.
He's Santa Claus.
Unbelievable. See, he's literally, that's a great way to put it.
He's one of those guys who will he'll give you whatever you want all the time of day, and legitimately famous, eh?
Yeah, in
That's
terms
crazy.
of like recognizability, he's up there in Toronto in terms of that guy. Hey, that's that guy from the thing, especially when he's wearing the Dark Guy gear, you know?
Well, and the face paint and everything. I don't know how he, like I said it in the video today, I'm like, I don't get how he goes to the bathroom.
In the game or just anywhere?
Yeah, anywhere. Well, when he's got the stuff on, like I was at a Toronto Rock game with him. He invited me shortly after the Leafs playoff run, and he missed half the game. And like it was his like sponsored section, like come sit in Dark Guy's section.
So the whole time he's just taking pictures.
Yeah, and he's getting pulled, by the team. Hey, we got to get you to take a picture with the cheerleaders, and people see him on the way there, and so he's late on the way there because he's taking pictures, and then on his way back, he's late again. People taking pictures, gets to his seat. People are coming up to his seat taking pictures, and with the Leafs, it's that tenfold. Mm-hmm. But he's Dark Guy, man. He's a legend. They show him on the screen every game because everyone loses their mind.
One thing, before we get back to the on-ice action, one thing I realized when I was at the game was I always forget how famous Steve Dangle is.
Not Dark Guy. Not Dark Guy famous.
You might not be Dark Guy famous or recognizable, but everywhere we went, every time we did anything, we walk a couple steps, a couple steps, or we'd be standing still and everyone would come up to you and they would say, Steve, can I get a picture with you, Steve? I want a picture.
And I always tell them, how dare you speak to me? I go, get away. That is a Jeff Goldblum thing. And by the way, I stole a John Mulaney bit at the beginning of last episode.
Oh, did you really?
Someone tweeted it at me, and I feel the need to say that I did that. I did that without realizing.
Oh, okay.
The get away from my wife.
That's John Mulaney?
Yeah, it's John Mulaney, who's one of my favorite comedians. So accidentally absorbed into my brain.
Cool. Anyways, if you go to a Leaf game with Steve, you realize that a lot of Leaf fans there know you, and it's really cool to see.
Well, it's a Leafs thing, right? Like, it's very niche.
Yeah.
I went to the Raptors game the other day. No one said anything. So, like, it's very niche.
Yeah. Even the guys selling 50-50 tickets were like, hey, Steve, love your videos.
That was cool. I go, oh, yeah. And a few times I go, you listen to the podcast? They go, yeah. I go, this is Jesse.
And they would be like, oh, okay. Like, can I get a picture with you, Steve?
So, sometimes, a lot of people are just figuring out, like, what you look like.
Sure.
I got a bunch of comments recently after I posted our professional photos. They didn't know what Adam looked like. I'm like, how have you been listening to the show?
This is
for all this time,
Steve.
What?
This is audio.
Yeah, but like we have Twitter, we have Instagram, Steve, we have a YouTube channel.
This is audio, and the podcast art for the entire history of this podcast up until like 3 weeks ago had you on it. How would anybody ever know what we look like?
Yeah, but have you never like heard someone for a long time and then just gotten curious and Googled what they look like?
Yeah, but like you don't know how long this person's been listening, you know?
No, fair enough.
They started listening like the fall.
2 weeks.
You listen for a couple months. They've seen maybe listened to a couple episodes. It's a podcast. That's why I don't blame people for not knowing what I look like. Who cares?
I don't blame them. The other confusing factor is they refer to the LFR videos as a podcast.
Ah, that's interesting.
I would never say that. Oh, I watch your podcast after every game. And I'm like, well, thank you. All I say is thank you.
Yeah,
I'm not going to actually. It's on my channel. How dare you?
I've offered to do this for you a couple of times, throwing up your LFRs on iTunes and just having it as a podcast. And I don't know why you don't do that. Just take the audio of your...
On the podcast? iTunes, though?
It can be on your own LFR.
I think it should be separate.
Yeah, sure.
Because if you subscribe to the podcast, you might hate that.
It doesn't matter. There should be an audio version where you can just listen to it. Because it doesn't really change the analysis that you're giving for the game. Like, I know the jump cuts are a part of it, but you can get a different experience if you just want to listen. I think it'll expand your audience.
I got a what's the term? I got a lot of irons in the fire right now. Is that what it is?
Tires in the fire?
No, it's definitely not tires.
Irons on the stove.
I got a lot cooking. How's that? And that's one of the things.
Bathroom.
I got a lot cooking in the bathroom. No, that sounds like you're doing drugs.
I got a lot cooking in the bathroom. Breaking Bad.
That's kicking open the stall door and seeing Cookie Monster. I was in the can.
So, what do you think of the on ice action of the game? What did you mention in your LFR?
Kasperi Kapanen is here to thoroughly stay forever and ever. Amen. There's no way. Like Babcock, you'll have to send Kapanen down over his dead body. Like there's no way it's ever going to happen. And the great thing about Kapanen is my eyes already have like mental confidence in him. Like I saw the shorthanded goal before it happened. The second I saw that 50-50 puck, I'm like, if he tips this a little bit, he's gone. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, chips it. He didn't have the speed on Craig Smith, but just completely slams on the brakes, and no one can keep up with him.
It was a bad goal, though.
It was kind of a crap goal. But he put himself in a position to succeed, right?
Yes, which is all you can ask for.
Exactly. I didn't notice Polak very much. Mm-hmm. I appreciated that.
I saw one play I was watching when he just got kind of lazy in the corner, and the puck was like on the other side. He just kind of drifting by himself, which he does occasionally.
His choices for exiting the zone are often perplexing. Mm-hmm. Matthews didn't have the greatest game, or the most noticeable game, I would say.
I think they shut him down really well.
Yeah, I think he had 4 shots and led the team.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't remember any of them being very dangerous.
I remember we were sitting there in overtime, and you were like, they're just wasting time to get this Matthews line off, and you were right.
Okay, so that's a trend that I hate. Mm-hmm. That's 3 or 4 straight Leafs overtime games now, where the second the opposing team gets the puck while the Matthews line is on the ice, they just circle it in the neutral zone of their own zone. Because they don't want to deal with it. And I mean, yeah.
You hate it because it's working and it's genius.
I mean, how many goals has that line gotten in overtime this year? Matthews has at least 2 overtime winners. Mm-hmm. Nylander has at least 2.
Willie has the fastest one ever.
The fastest one ever, and that bizarre one against the Devils. And I think Gardner has 1 or 2 as well. Mm. And he had some last year as well. And Austin, I think, had others last year as well. They're the best. They're easily the Leafs' best. So I guess I understand the strategy. I just hate it.
Yeah.
It's boring.
Well,
3-on-3 is a lot of fun when stuff is happening. Yeah. When it's not, it's just 3 dudes standing on the ice. Looks stupid.
And you're seeing more and more teams learn how to play it and take it slow, circle a couple times. Oh, we can't come in. Let me just go back and try and come in again.
That's the fun thing about new things is everyone sucks, so it's more entertaining. Coming out of the 05-06 lockout, not only has almost everyone in the league not played for a year, but there's all these new rules and no one knows what's going on, so weirdly scoring went up.
Yeah.
Beginning of this year, no one understands the penalties. Scoring went up. 3-on-3, scoring goes way up for overtime. But now we're starting to see boring stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I hate it. Meh. Who else did I notice? JVR took a shot. That was weird.
A slap shot.
Yeah. And it went in. Weird that.
So did you see the replay? Was it tipped?
I think so. Well, because it came off. If it wasn't tipped, he would have been like, I'm trying to get my bearings here. He would have been like aiming his stick at one side of the net, but I guess he was holding it loosely enough that it like curved and came off the toe.
Mm.
No, I think Emelin tipped it.
Okay.
That would have been too perfect.
Yeah, because Rene was going the other way and the puck went through his right side, you know?
Yeah.
That was weird that JVR took a shot.
Trying to think. I don't know. It wasn't a terribly notable game.
Mm.
I didn't think so. Like, not a whole lot of exciting stuff happened. And like even the Preds, like when they go and the Predators' next shooter, Kyle Turris, I forgot they had him because it was the first time that night I had noticed him.
Kyle Turris, who was on the 31 Thoughts podcast, which you should to.
He was on it?
Yes, they had him.
Oh my
as a
God, I'm
guest.
so far behind on everything.
Really?
I've had a crazy couple days.
Oh, okay.
Followed by a crazy day tomorrow.
Yes, Kyle Turris was on there. I feel like I should ask you this on the podcast.
Okay.
What did you think of our good old Toronto boy, PK Subban, going down with a little injury on the ice and then getting up and skating away after play was stopped? He went to the bench and he got up and he was fine.
It was very convenient.
It was very convenient that his injury all of a sudden stopped once play stopped and he got back to the bench.
So you saw something that I didn't. What did Riley do to him?
So the first time Riley comes back on the ice, first time Subban comes back on the ice, Riley's there and they're
Which
taking
was 2 minutes later.
2 minutes. I think it was the next shift.
Of course.
Yeah. So they're taking a face-off in the Leaf zone. Riley comes over to him, gives him a little. He had both hands on his stick, gives him a little like cross check, and I saw his face.
Like a hard one, or
no, like a little love tap. And you could see he said something or smiled at him along the lines like, "Come on, pal." You know? Just like, what you
Come
doing?
on, pal.
What you doing there, bud? Yeah.
Well,
So
and then,
I saw
so
that.
the face-off after PK was down was just outside of the Preds zone. And part of me is like, okay, like I know what the rules are there, but that face-off should have been in the Preds zone.
100%.
The Leafs had the puck in the Preds zone, and he was down and very clearly not hurt. It's funny. Everyone's booing him. And I'm going, no, he might actually be hurt. And then right before he got back on the bench, because it was his right foot, he puts all of his weight on it. I'm like, son of a gun, he's fine. Jerk. Whatever, the good guys won.
Now, do we fault him for being smart?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
We have to pause here. We have to call
Yes.
LukeFoxJukeBox. That's what we have to do. Did you like my thing?
I need you to say that again.
We need to call LukeFoxJukeBox.
Luke Fox.
LukeFoxJukeBox.
Yeah, good thing it's an explicit podcast.
So we're back.
We're back. Who are we back with, Jesse? What is their Twitter handle?
All right, I had trouble saying this before the break, but let me try again. Luke Fox Jukebox.
Way to go.
Yay,
Jesse
welcome
Blake,
to the
here
show,
we go.
Luke.
A bit of a tongue twister, I guess.
A little bit. I have a little bit of trouble saying
For him.
it. I have a marble mouth. So
Marble mouth.
yeah,
I've never heard that.
marbles in my mouth. So sometimes I like step over my words, like right there where I was like step over my words. That's how I talk. So I apologize to everybody who's been listening for the last 3 years.
I gotcha. Okay. Wow. You know how like there's someone out there going, you know what? I've thought Jesse has sucked for 3 years, but at least he said that, and I like him now.
But you know what? We're not here to talk about me.
No, we're here to talk about Luke and things. You brought up an article of Luke's today.
Yeah, so Luke, you wrote an article about the Leafs dressing room winning song.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you take us through that?
Well, sure. One of my passions is music, so I'm always curious what kind of music teams listen to in the dressing room, and sometimes when they open up the room after morning skate, they have some music playing, and I'm always kind of quietly judging their musical selections or am impressed by them. And this kind of started last season. I was on the Western Canada road trip, and they had a big win over the Oilers. I don't know if you remember that one.
Oh, yeah.
And it all depends on the arena and where they have the media waiting to go in. But we were close enough that we were like right beside the visitors' room, and they were just blasting their win song, Jordan Belfort, which is kind of like a frat rap song. It's like a fun tune. And
fun is a very nice way of describing it.
I'll come out and say that song sucks. Wow. But hey, if they play it after they win, I'm okay with it, I guess.
Yeah, so that's what they played last year, and I'm like really into rap music, but I wasn't aware of that song at all. It's kind of like a college boy rap song, but it's got kind of a catchy beat and whatever. So I
feel like it's Johnny Manziel's favorite song. You know,
that's his ringtone.
I feel like he listens to it often.
Johnny Manziel posts every picture on Instagram with the caption, "Imagine if I never met the Broskies." That's definitely what he does.
Anyway, sorry, Luke.
Yeah,
keep going.
sorry.
Anyway, yeah. So I asked him about it last year, and then I was just wondering if they had switched it up. And I know Kadri does most of their music before the games, and he supplies the ACC's in-house DJ with a playlist, and he mixes it, and that's what they skate to and juggle pucks to and hand out pucks and sticks to fans to during the warm-up before every game. So I started with him, and I asked him what their win song is this year, and he kind of hummed and hawed and said it was like a work in progress. Anyway, it took me about asking 6 different guys just to get the real answer. Morgan Riley was probably the best because he was really kind of playing coy with it and was like, "Oh, I don't know if I should tell you. It's kind of a secret." And then I'm like pestering him. I was like, "Well, can you tell me the genre or can you tell me the artist?" And really bugging him. And then he finally said, and then I asked who chose it, and he said Bozak chose it, and he's like, he'll probably tell you. He doesn't have as good of a poker face, but then only so many guys are available each day, so it took another few days before I could finally get Bozak alone because I didn't want it to be a big scrum question. It was just kind of like my own little curiosity. And he finally told me, and the answer was kind of disappointing, but at least I found out.
Yeah, before the show...
Boom by Tiesto.
Yeah, before the show, I played it for Steve, because Steve hadn't heard it yet.
It's like sort of depressing.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like the best song to get pumped up to after you win a game.
No, not at all. Well, what I was told... I was surprised to hear that it was Jordan Belfort last year because I heard early in the season that Komarov would play a song, and again, I did sort of what you did. I went around the whole room, and they couldn't give me a name because they didn't know the name of the song. They're like, I don't know, it's some Russian song. And I asked Zach Hyman, he's like, oh yeah, I asked Sash about it, and he said it's about a berry. I was just like, what the hell? And then finally, Komarov in his Darth Vader voice goes, yeah, it's Kalinka. And it's Kalinka, Kalinka, Kalinka. I don't know. I got super jacked to it. But then they switch it to that Jordan abomination of a song. And I don't know. It's no wonder they went on a mid-season slump.
Yeah.
I think I figured it out.
I think they might change it, though, and that's what Bozak said. So maybe we're both right. Maybe they changed it halfway through the season or whatever. Like if it stops getting the guys pumped up or whatever, they might switch it up. But
so the names
it's just something I get curious about. So
yeah. So
and then if the answer was hilarious, it would be a great story. Like if we found out it was Spice Girls or something ridiculous. But
Little California Girls by Katy Perry or
All
something
Saints.
like that. Yeah. So the names you're using for your story, you're going through like Kadri and Bozak and Riley and the guys who've been here for a while. So do they have control of the dressing room, do you find?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So Kadri has control before the games, and he plays more up-tempo stuff, a lot of rap music, and then probably some, more dancey, housey stuff as well. And then Gardner does the mornings, apparently, and he does more country and more laid-back stuff. For they kind of ease into the mornings and then ramp it up for game time. But yeah, it's definitely the veterans. And Riley was saying that how it's kind of like some of the guys that have been there for a while determine what their win song is going to be and when to switch it up.
I think every year, way of dictating it.
Yeah, and JVR said that every year, doesn't matter how good the previous year went, you start fresh. You got to ditch that win song and start fresh with a new group of guys in a new season. So it's kind of interesting, these little dressing room traditions. I also asked around if they have a player of the game thing, and they don't. I don't know if you remember, they used to have like a camouflage hoodie. I remember Peter Horacek won at one game.
Yeah, I do. That was his first win.
Conference. Yeah.
Oh
but everyone I asked said they don't, and I'm not that surprised just because they're so team focused. But yeah, they're just those little things. Even when visiting teams come to town, sometimes I like to try and find out if they have like a player of the game thing. I remember the last season, I don't know if they still do it, but the Hurricanes had an axe, like a hatchet that they handed out to the player of the game. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty aggressive, but yeah, I just kind of like those quirky little dressing room traditions. So that's why I started asking around.
So you've been around them, or you're around them, I guess, all the time, right? You go to all the morning skates. Do you go to all the practices and games as well?
I go to like 90% of the home games. If something major happens at home, then I take a pass. But yeah, the last few seasons I go to almost every home game, most practices, morning skates, yeah. And then road games. CJ does the weekdays, but since he got promoted to doing headlines on Saturdays, they needed someone to go on the road Saturdays, and as long as it wasn't too far away, like they took a pass on Vancouver and St. Louis, but Pittsburgh, Boston, New York City, they've been Ottawa, places, Montreal, places like that. They've been sending me, and they've actually had a lot of road Saturdays. And that's the best time to be around them because the crowd's a little bit thinner when you go on the road. So it's good to get guys one-on-one in situations like that.
True. So well, I was going to say, over the last 10 games, they're 7-2-1.
Yeah.
Real hot, but like, I feel like they're not carrying themselves that way, if that makes sense. Because, I don't know, you can't just win under Mike Babcock. I feel like winning is breaking even. And everything else is failure. Even if you don't win properly, he's not happy. So what's the feeling you get from the team right now?
Yeah, I agree. I felt like last year they could do no wrong. They can make mistakes, and he just gave them a pass. It was like the freebie year, the learning year, and he was kind of gentle. And this year he's making everyone scared. He's like healthy scratching guys. You might want to get your trade request in. It's never good enough. And the irony is they have this crazy cushion in the standings, and the way Boston's playing and the way Tampa's playing. Last I checked, and it's probably even a higher percentage now, but last I checked, they were at like 89 or 90% certain to finish third in the Atlantic.
Wow.
There's no way they're going to drop off, and it's really crazy. No one else has a number like that they would finish in the same position they're in, and it's not even close. Like most teams are in the teens or maybe in the 20s, but so they're basically locked in. And he is just the coach. He just doesn't want any complacency to sit in. So he's keeping the lines fresh and dropping guys, promoting guys if they have a bad game. The defense pairings, there was a span there where they were on a rotation, like it's mid-season and they're still having tryouts. It's just like he doesn't want anyone to be comfortable. And I remember way back when he was coaching Team Canada in the World Cup, he had a good line where he's like, you need to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Kind of like he wants guys who are never just taking it easy. He wants guys who feel like they're fighting for their job, even if they're, Patrick Marleau and are destined for the Hall of Fame. He just doesn't like complacency at all. And that's kind of how he lives. Like, from what I understand, he's up at 5:30 in the morning or whatever, going to the rink, game planning. Right after the game, he's like, got the iPad out and going over the footage. Like, there's no rest. And I think he wants the same from the guys.
Is he like higher strung this year, Mike Babcock? Because his press conferences, like they're can't miss. They're so good. There's so many gems in them. But I found he's been like snappy more this year, and I think you've been on the receiving end of a couple of them. I can't remember specifically which ones, but there was one where I was like, "Don't be like that to Luke. Luke's one of the nicest people I've ever met."
Yeah, he has snapped at me a couple of times. He did a couple of times last year. I think everyone's got it once in a while. And the first time it happened to me, I was just like, oh, and I think my feelings were a little bit hurt, or I had to really think about how I phrased the question. I was like, oh, I got to go back to the drawing board here and how to deal with it. But now I enjoy it, because now I've been around him more, and I get it. But yeah, he is a little testier, and I think that's just because the expectations are higher, and we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, which I think would be fascinating, to be a fly on the wall in some of the meetings with Shanahan and Lou and Mike Babcock, just because he's unlike any other coach in the league. Just his contract and his confidence and all of that, he gives him so much power. He's been open the last couple of weeks saying about how he's put in his requests with Lou for who he wants at the trade deadline.
That was crazy.
Like, I'm sure other coaches are involved in those decisions, but they don't have the confidence or the guts or whatever to put it out there publicly that they've made the requests, and Lou's, as far as we know, his deal's expiring. So it's a really unique situation. So you have this coach who has power well beyond your average coach, and he runs his press conferences that way. So many times it doesn't matter what questions asked, he's going to give you the information and the message that he wants to get across. And he loves to coach through the media too, right? He'll protect the guy. He'll protect the guys he loves, and it's very obvious when he's throwing someone under the bus too. He doesn't have to say their name.
Well, and I feel like he did something clever with Kapanen yesterday, where it was praise, 90% praise, and then he just goes, he doesn't shoot enough. And now that's the thing going forward. So, I think people who watch stats closely, which, I mean, if you cover the games, you probably do, at least the counting numbers, you're going to be looking to see if Kapanen shoots more.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be looking at plays where, he could have shot and he didn't. Because I've been doing that with Marner all season. So I assume it's going to be happening with Kapanen.
Yeah, and he used that last year, Marner, right? He said he doesn't shoot enough and made that a sticking point with him, and one of the things that he wanted him to work on. So, yeah, never be satisfied. Even these are great days for Kapanen. It finally looks like he has a roster spot after being up and down 8 times or something crazy. That highlight reel goal, but then he throws in a shot. Don't get comfortable. Here's something else you need to work on.
So I took a really depressing video at a Leafs practice last year. And it was Frank Corrado on the ice by himself, skating around, just kind of looking sad because he was one of the healthy scratches and last off the ice. What has Josh Leivo been like this whole season? And I guess what has Matt Martin been like this past 2 weeks?
It's tough for those guys. And when I think of Josh Leivo, I remember being in Montreal the day after the news came out that he signed an extension. So it was the first chance to get to talk to him. There was a small group of us there, and he was just on a high that he signed that one-way extension. It was less than $1 million, only for 1 year. But he was just so happy, and he was saying how the first thing he did was he called his dad, and his dad was so excited it felt like his draft day all over again, that kind of excitement. And, this team believes on me. And I remember asking him, I was like, well, what was Lou's message to you when they decided to sign you? And he's like, just be patient. Just keep sticking with the plan. You're going to get there. You're doing great. You're doing everything right. Just keep working hard. But here he is working hard in practice. He hasn't played since December 31st. And then he's watching, Kapanen in particular just pass by him, go from the Marlies to jump right up. And, at that point, I get it. I get the frustration. I don't know if you want it to go public, just the way things worked with Frank Corrado and then also Peter Holland, right? But it's frustrating. But I just don't see how he gets in unless 3 people get injured or 2 people get traded. Like how does he get in and make an impact? And then when he's just sitting there, his trade value goes down every day. The only thing he has going for him is that he's on a pretty team-friendly contract.
Well, it's interesting that you say his trade value goes down every day, because to me it's like the Leafs are shooting themselves in the foot. They have this asset that they clearly value. Like, they think he's a good player. Why not play him is what I don't understand. Like, you don't even need to think he's the best option. Like, you had so many back-to-backs throughout the season. You have a few left. Surely you could use a fresh forward in one of those games. Couldn't you?
Yeah.
I just don't understand.
Yeah.
It's not even the Leafs shooting themselves in the foot. It's Babcock.
Well, you fall into Babcock guy or not Babcock guy. I mean, it's the same with the defense, right? Like, it was tough to get Roman Polak out of the lineup until he got the flu. He latches on to certain guys that he trusts, and if you have his trust, it's hard to lose it. And if you don't have his trust, man, it's really tough to gain it.
So trade deadline day is about 18 days away now.
Wow, it's close.
What do you think the Leafs do?
I'd be surprised if they do anything major. I do think they don't like Dominic Moore. I think he's a bit better than what I think they think he is, but I don't think they're satisfied with him. And they know Bozak's not long for this team, so I think they get a third or fourth line center if they can. I've looked at the pickings; they're kind of slim, but I think they try and do that. What they kind of similar to what they did in getting Brian Boyle. Maybe they rent a depth center. And I think they will look for a right shot defenseman. They've been looking for that for, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years. But I don't think Carrick is the kind of guy Mike Babcock is too high on. And then you got to start pushing some of these guys down. Like, if you're going to win a cup, is Ron Hainsey going to be on your top pair? I mean, he's blown away my expectations of him, and he's been a great penalty killer, and he's been great for Riley. But if you're going to win the championship, are you going to get is Ron Hainsey going to be playing that many minutes? Is Roman Polak going to be playing this many minutes? So I still think they're going to hunt for a defenseman. I do think there's something to the Eric Gabranson rumors. I also think they would really like a Chris Tanev. I just don't know if we're going to see something of that caliber. I think it might be more like messing around with the fringes, the bottom pairing, and the fourth line center, realistically, and then maybe shoot for the moon at the draft and free agency, and then make a big push in the summer.
Babcock said something to me. He said something last night that I found a little confusing.
Well, he said it to the media, which is you.
He said it to the media. It was either last night or this morning. I don't remember when he last spoke, but talked about, Kapanen penalty killing and doing what he needed to do to get in the lineup. And then I think he said we told Borgman the same thing. So they, sent him down to get his minutes. And earlier in the year, that's what they did with Dermott. They sent him down so he could get more minutes. They call him up to the Leafs, and look, he looks like a better player. They want Borgman to learn how to penalty kill. What confused me is why they let him do that for like 4 games and then decided, nope, we're not doing that. Do you get the impression we're going to see Borgman again this season?
Yeah, I think it's possible. But I just think Travis Dermott's played so well. He gives these little assignments, right? Like I was talking to Dermott, and last year he didn't play at all on his offside, and this year at the beginning with the Marlies, he's found himself getting plunked on the right side. And it's like, we're going to try and teach you how to play your offside, because that's where we need a hole, and we think you're great. but we need you to be able to be more versatile and play the right side of the defense as well as the left. So he has very specific roles and very specific needs. So he makes these little like homework assignments. Kapanen was penalty killing, and then what you got to embrace it. There's no choice but to embrace it and take that challenge and try and do something, even if it's out of your element or something that might be a weakness of yours, because that's the only way you're going to get into the lineup.
So that to me is very smart. You're looking at your organizational strengths and weaknesses, and you're using development to address them. Which brings me to, would they ever consider Leo Komarov fourth line center?
Oh,
do it.
Interesting.
I've been yelling about this for weeks now. It solves a few problems. One, it gives you a fourth line center that Babcock clearly trusts. He loves Komarov. He already sort of uses him as a center. And then by moving him over, you take more out of the lineup and you can put Leivo there. And everyone's happy. I don't understand. Do you get the impression he would ever try that? Because it sounds like you
no.
don't.
Well, I don't. I don't think it's a bad idea at all. And he does trust Komarov, and since he's been on the fourth line, which is way more suited to his skill set, he's got fourth line hands. So they've
harsh
been
but true. I love Leo, but harsh but true.
It's harsh but true. But you've also seen, like, since he's been down there, and since Kapanen's been brought up there to that fourth line, the average minutes of that fourth line is more balanced. It's gone up because it has guys he trusts. So I think your idea is a good one. I just don't think Leivo's getting in there. If Leivo hasn't gotten in by now, I think that time has come and gone.
Then I don't understand what he's doing on this team.
I could be surprised, but he hasn't. He hasn't been using Komarov at center, and he hasn't been using Leivo, period. So I don't see that changing at any time soon.
So come February 27th, you don't think Josh Leivo's a Toronto Maple Leaf?
Yeah, I think I would be surprised. I think we might see him on the waiver wire if they can't find a trade partner for him.
It's disappointing,
but what a waste. One thing I was looking at today was the Hurricanes put two guys who are listed as centers on waivers, Josh Duras and Marcus Kruger. And, I mean, neither is 6'4", so I don't know how interested Babcock would be in them. But I don't know. Yeah. I wonder about, like...
Kruger's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's weird how far his stock has fallen the last two seasons. I think it was...
Contract.
He got injured. Yeah, he got injured, and then his contract was bad. But, I think that there could be a trade there, maybe if they retain salary. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't know, there's some interesting guys out there. Like, how much salary are the Rangers going to retain on Rick Nash? Because his cap hit's bad, and his actual salary is even worse, but the Leafs are a team where the salary won't matter. But some of the more cash-conscious teams might be thrown by that. But if they retain salary, I think he's a big body, and he's expanded his willingness to do things beyond just scoring. Like he's rounded out his game in the last couple of years. Like, kind of with his age, he's become a better defensive winger, and I wonder if there might be a spot there. I just wonder what Babcock really thinks of him, because I know he knows the player pretty well, but he keeps that pretty tight to the vest.
Babcock used him as a shutdown winger in Vancouver. I remember that. I don't know if he did it all the time, but wasn't the top line, was it Crosby, Stahl, Iginla, or was it Crosby, Nash, Iginla? Oh, it was something gross. God, Olympic, we're going to miss that this year. Like, best on best, Canada is a pretty fun roster to look at.
Oh, it's just like we're missing all the debates about the line combinations and who makes the roster. Like, there's none of that. I mean, I'm all for some good stories coming out of this tournament, which starts up pretty soon. But I do miss all the debates and Martin St. Louis and just like all those like mini controversies that aren't really even controversies, but just the hockey nerd debates over who should be playing with who. And That's the one thing that this Olympics has lacked is the build-up.
Before we let you go, what has been some of your what's been some of the stuff that you've churned out this season that's your favorite? Because I would love to churn out content at the rate of Luke frickin' Fox. You are unbelievable.
It's very true. Yeah.
It's sometimes more than one thing a day, isn't it?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah.
Modesty.
Bastard. Yeah. No, you're unbelievable. So what's some of the stuff you've had the most fun with this year?
What's the most fun? You know what was fun at the beginning of the year when I got a couple guys to give me, like, you know, this applies to your least obsessed audience, is give everyone's nicknames. And I got like the full list of their dressing room nicknames and what they call each other. That was kind of a fun, and get a little bit of insight into that. That was kind of a fun piece to write. It's always inspiring when something crazy happens in the game. So I did a story the night Nazem Kadri ripped off old Joel Thornton's beard. That was one of my favorite columns, and so I could just write, I don't know how long, 800 words on just that incident, and get, you know, half a dozen guys' perspective on just him getting in that fight and ripping off his beard, just because that was such a bizarre incident. So that would be another one of my favorites, I'd say.
So I pulled up your article about the Leafs nicknames. I'm just scrolling through the list, and I see next to Nazem Kadri, you have Naz, and then you have Dreamer. Where does that come from?
Oh, is it still Dreamer? Oh.
So it was an announcer called him Nazem instead of Nazem. So then they started calling him Nazem the Dream, and that morphed into Dream and then just Dreamer. So it's and so no one calls him Nazem the Dream anymore. That's just Dreamer.
Nice.
Kind of one of those evolving nicknames.
I heard he didn't like that, the Nazem the Dream thing.
So he told me that he didn't like it at first, and now he's just giving in, and he's fine with it.
All right,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's kind of funny. All right, man. Well, LukeFoxJukeBox on Twitter. Where can we? Is there a specific place we can find you on Sportsnet.ca? I assume just the front page constantly.
Well, there's author pages. Like if you click on the byline, then you get everyone's history. I don't think anyone does that, especially for me. But if you click on the guy or girl's name, their byline, it'll send you to their whole archive of all their work chronologically, I believe.
.ca has a back end for all the writers where it's like their own little blog there, and just Google Luke Fox Sportsnet and it'll pop right up. Or you go to .ca/author/Luke-Fox.
You could read him and no one else but him, and still be fine. It's still enough content to last you each
get
and
one
every day.
Very narrow perspective if you do that.
Final question before we let you go. What is your Stanley Cup prediction?
So at the very beginning of the year, I had, because we actually had to submit this to the site, and I had Tampa versus Anaheim. And now if I could redo it, I'd probably do Tampa Nashville. I'm going to stick with the Lightning.
All right.
Very interesting. Yeah. Very interesting. Was that you who had that, Jesse? Or
no, that was Adam. Yeah,
That's
you
Adam's
share a prediction with Adam. So there you go.
It's a good pick. And I mean, you shouldn't feel bad about Anaheim. On paper, they're wicked. It's just they've been so busted up.
Yeah, they've been busted up, and I'm not counting them out. But if I had $1 to bet on the Western Conference champion, I think I'd be leaning more to Nashville. I just think they're so well rounded.
Yeah. Well, and they would be close to leading the West, and Anaheim would be in a playoff spot in any normal year where the expansion team sucked.
Yeah.
But because Vegas is this juggernaut, no, it's screwing everything up. Luke Fox, everybody.
Thank you so much
Luke,
for joining us.
That was awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
Steve, we're back.
Hi.
That was very abrupt. I'm sorry.
No.
I feel like I apologize a lot. I'm very Canadian.
You should stop. I feel like a lot. Someone pointed that out to me recently, and it sucks because I hear it every single time because it's coming out of my head, but I can't stop it. And now you all have to do that. Great. Now I have to stop. I feel like that was a bad idea, saying that.
I'm just going to see how long you're going to keep this up. I feel like you can keep that up for a while.
I feel like I could too.
I feel like should be the name of this episode.
There it is.
There it is. We figured it out. All right, let's do the press conference.
The Presser. SDP.
You can do
The
it.
Steve Dangle Press
feel like
Conference.
Because you put it in.
I feel like you should have done it. So you put out the question on Twitter this time. All right. This first one is from Aaron.
Aaron or Aaron?
Aron. So Aaron.
Literally. Just Aaron.
Just Aaron, not Aaron. Just
All right.
Aaron. All right. Aaron wants to know your thoughts on the statement the New York Rangers made on Twitter about their rebuild. Would you like to see other teams do the same thing, and would it maybe help other teams, Montreal in brackets, ease into a rebuild as well?
Well, it's interesting. The team we talk about the most on this show started their rebuild when they were right in the hunt for a playoff spot, which is exactly what the Rangers are doing right now. The Leafs were in one, but quickly losing it. And the Rangers are out of one, were in one, I think, last week and quickly losing it. So I haven't heard the actual statement. But yeah, you want to read it?
Would you like me to read it to you?
Absolutely.
All right. So today on Twitter and
know
on
the
their
gist.
website, the New York Rangers told their fans that they are going to start rebuilding, which is a thing no team in pro sports has really ever done. Openly been honest with a letter that they're going to start rebuilding.
It's usually like they wait for like after the trade deadline when the obvious rebuilding has already begun.
Exactly.
So you might have noticed we got rid of half our team for draft picks
Yeah,
today.
it's usually, okay, our farm system is now stocked with all these draft picks and none of our star players are here anymore. And then the
Yeah.
GM has a press conference. He's like, yeah, we're looking towards the future.
So you might have noticed that Eric Brewer is in the lineup tonight.
Yeah.
Let's explain.
So the Rangers today decided, okay, trade deadline is coming up in 18 days. We're going to be dumping everyone, and we don't want everybody to get upset. So we're going to write this beautiful letter to our fans and tell them what's up, which is a great idea. So I'll read it to you right now. As a member of the Blue Shirt Faithful, we consider you a part of the New York Rangers family and always want to ensure we share important news about the organization directly with you. Today, we want to talk to you about the future. As you know, since the 05-06 season, we have been highly competitive. We have played 129 playoff games, won the President's Trophy, reached the conference finals 3 times, as well as the Stanley Cup final. While we're proud of all those accomplishments, we didn't reach our ultimate goal of bringing the Stanley Cup back to New York. So as we do every season, we have been continuously evaluating our team, looking for areas that can be improved to enhance our chances of winning. We began the process of reshaping our team this past summer when we traded for assets that we believe will help us in the years to come. As we approach the trade deadline later this month and into the summer, you can leave that camera because that battery's charging. Let's get back to the letter. Deadline later this month and into the summer, we will be focused on adding young, competitive players that combine speed, skill, and character. This may mean we lose some familiar faces, guys we all care about and respect. While this is a part of the game, it's never easy. Our promise to you is that our plans will be guided by our singular commitment, ensuring we are building the foundation for our next Stanley Cup contender. There are no fans like Ranger fans. You are passionate, loyal, and true. You fill the garden every night, and we always know there will be a strong showing from Rangers Town in every building across the league. That part there is a little, please still come to our games,
Yeah, a little
even
bit.
though we're about to suck.
I mean, they got to sell tickets, right? I know it's New York. But
Yeah, I guess it's still a business, you
Yeah.
know. We do not take your support for granted. We appreciate that you have always stood by us, and we ask you to remain by our side, and we undertake this exciting new chapter filled with promise and change. We will keep you informed as this process takes shape. Thank you for the incredible loyalty, pride, and respect you show to the New York Rangers each and every day. That's from the GM, Jeff Gorton, and President Glenn Sathan. What do you think, Steve Dangle? That's the first time you heard it.
yeah, Rangers fans, I'm sure you're upset at the lost season and also trading for and then extending Brendan Smith, and now he's on waivers. But, which, boy, that's pretty stunning.
Mm-hmm.
But that is 100% a great letter and 100% the right decision to make. I like that they started with something that like I didn't quite realize. I knew they've been good for a long time. 129 playoff games is a lot. Take it from a fan base that has had 13 over the same span. 13 playoff games versus 129.
I love how you know that.
I know. 7 plus 6, Jesse.
When? Okay. We're doing this.
Okay.
When was Owen Nolan drafted?
Oh, man.
I gave you a difficult one today.
It was 90 or 91, or was it 89? Shit. I'm going to say, I'm pretty sure he was a first rounder. I'm going to say 89.
What position?
In the draft?
Yeah.
11th. I don't know. Steve. Oh, no.
Owen Nolan.
Wait. No. 4th?
What is
Something in my head just clicked 4th.
Lock in your final answer, Steve Dangle.
4th overall, final answer.
Drafted by who?
Quebec Nordiques.
In what year?
I think I said 89.
Is that your final answer?
Final answer.
Owen Nolan was drafted by the Quebec Nordiques in 1990. And he went round 1, number 1.
He was a first overall pick.
Owen Nolan, 1990 by the Quebec Nordiques, was a first overall pick.
Shoot.
Yeah. All right. You can make it up for it here. Owen Nolan is 45 years old, born on February 12th. So what's 45 divided by 12?
Oh, my God. A little bit less than 4.
What's your answer?
Wait, okay. No, I can actually do this. 3.75. Yeah.
Well done.
What's going on?
We failed at a high five for everybody listening.
We failed at a high 10.
One out of 2.
Yeah, I feel good about that. I feel better about the division. The second I heard you say like 45 and 12, I'm like, oh no, he's going even and odd. I'm screwed.
All right,
we're getting into fractions.
The Rangers. Happy?
Smart.
Smart.
Well, what's been funny is like we're talking about ridiculous things here. Pierre LeBrun said today that the Blue Jackets are confident. The Blue Jackets want a forward in exchange for Jack Johnson if they can get one, but they are also comfortable with a late first rounder. You're going to pay a first rounder for Jack Johnson? Are you sure? And then the other one was...
How much did Richard Panik get?
Anthony Duclair.
Anthony Duclair?
Yeah. Who's like... But they're both... It's different. Neither of those players is a late first right now. They're not worth that.
I don't know.
No.
Okay, if Anthony Duclair was in the draft this year, where does he go?
No. Anthony Duclair, right? The player he is now, he's exactly the kind of player you take a flyer on in like the second round. Or like you go, if we hit, he'll be good. If we sort of hit, he'll be okay. And if we miss, we miss.
Okay, so...
like Anthony Duclair, like look where he was drafted, look how old he is. You can't call him a bust.
Mm-hmm.
You can't.
There's still time.
He's at worst what he should be.
Yeah.
I think. Anyway.
So back to the original point. Rangers.
The Habs are confident they can get a second-round pick for Thomas Plekanec.
Mm-hmm.
And there was even talk about the Habs could maybe command a first-round pick for him because he's a center. And I saw someone tweet, I don't remember who it was, if you pay a first-round pick for Thomas Plekanec, you should be fired on the spot, which I agree with. So the Rangers are, first and foremost, being honest about their situation. They've played a lot of playoff games. They're not really a contender. They can mortgage the future again to become more of a contender, but it's just not the smart thing to do. And they're taking advantage of a really soft year on the trade market, or what it is so far. The Rangers should start making deals right now. They have enough pending free agents that they could sell off a couple guys now, maybe make teams panic and follow them, and then save enough guys for the last minute desperation on trade deadline day.
So they are in the perfect position to rob everybody blind.
Yeah, you could probably, like, Andre Pavlik is a free agent, and he's been an okay backup goalie for them. You could probably get something for him. Nick Holden's a free agent. Grabner's a free agent. Rick Nash is a free agent. They have a couple more up front as well. I just forget who. Are you bringing up their cap friendly?
I am.
And they got a bunch of restricted free agents as well.
Okay.
And they wouldn't even have to sell off the whole team. There were rumors about Chris Kreider earlier in the season, but I think he's on the IR.
He does have a no movement clause.
Who's
But
this?
ultimate question. Do you trade King Henrik?
Well, he doesn't want to be moved. Is the
Do
thing.
you try and get him to move the no move
What
clause?
contender needs a starting goaltender right now? You have to have it. Like no good team's goaltender stinks
Okay.
right now. And at his age and at that salary, A, I think teams would be scared to take it on, and B, the Rangers would probably have to retain.
Fair enough.
And it'd be like one of those like the Phil Kessel move. Like, we understand why you did it, but I'm still thoroughly bitter about the fact that the Leafs are retaining on Phil Kessel.
All right. Next question, the press conference.
Rangers are going to clean up, yada, yada, yada.
KP Smash
Okay.
writes on Twitter, would you rather have the Lightning or Bruins in the first round? Because it's going to be one of the two.
Neither.
And the follow-up was, and don't say neither.
All right. Boy, that's tough. That's really tough. I don't want to play frickin' Tuukka Rask again. I think the more fun series in terms of fan interaction is the Bruins, for sure. In terms of atmosphere, it's the Bruins. I think the more challenging... It's tough. The Bruins, I put the Leafs' depth up against the Bruins' depth. Defense, they're good, not great. Up front, like lines 2 through 4, good, not great, I would say. But they have arguably the best line in the entire NHL with freaking Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak. That's so offensive. One of the best pests in the league, one of the best two-way forwards in the league over the past decade, and one of the best young snipers in a game on a wicked contract, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm more afraid of that line, I think, than Stamkos, Kucherov, Nemesnikov.
Are you really?
I think I might be.
Oh,
Just the way they've been recently. The only reason, I bet they put up more numbers, or anyway, better numbers than they have, had Marchand not been suspended. I think Bergeron missed a chunk of the
Yeah, he was a
beginning
little
of the year.
injured, yeah.
I don't know about Pasternak. If the Leafs can get past the Lightning, it'll be because they went depth for depth with them. If they can do that, I'll be impressed. I think the Lightning remind me more of the Capitals. Like, because the Capitals didn't really have a weakness. The Leafs just hung in there with them. The Bruins, I think, require a little bit more strategy. The Leafs play better when they go up against a team depth for depth. They sort of did that against the Ducks a little bit. When they line match and try to shut down another line, they don't do so hot. And they have to against Boston. You got to, like, custom make the perfect shutdown line for them. And I don't know what that looks like.
It's funny because they look more loose on the road when they don't even have the option to line match.
Right.
So I think, like you're saying, if they go into a series with Tampa and they're like not worried about that, then they can play a little loose at home. But when they are at home versus Boston, they're like, okay, can't be throwing out this line versus Marchand. That's not going to go well. And then it's going to make them play a little tight.
Bergeron. It's always Bergeron. And then it's a matter of which goalie do you want to face, Rask or Raycroft. Rask or Raycroft. Whoops.
Nope.
Rask or Vasilevsky. The answer is neither.
No. But the Lightning do have a better back end. Like, their defense is a lot stronger than Boston's.
When they're healthy.
Yes.
Yeah, when they're
because
healthy.
Hedman's out, yeah.
You can
He'll
maybe...
be back, though.
God, you can attack Sergachev because he's not the greatest in his own end, but then he gets 50 points at the other end.
Mhm.
Like he's a rookie already, and he's already Jay Gardner. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm excited to see, interested to see how Tampa bounces back from their injuries, and I'm interested to see how if Boston levels off. They're not going to play 900 hockey the rest of the season.
You don't know that. They might.
I don't.
Look
You're
at
right.
Vegas.
It's so stupid. You know what's funny? Vegas in their last 10, I saw this morning, is 6-3-1. And here's how good their season has been. I looked at that and went, they've fallen off.
Only 6-3-1.
This might be the first 10-game stretch all season where the Leafs have been hotter than the Golden Knights. And it's one game hotter.
It's unbelievable. Vegas
been
is
so
currently
good.
10 points up on San Jose for first in the Pacific. For first. So
Insane.
what is your final answer? If I have a gun to your head,
God.
you either get the Lightning or Bruins. Who are you picking?
Up until this moment, I keep saying I want them to play Boston, and I still logically think they have a better chance against Boston, but something in my heart is telling me the Lightning. I
Final
don't know
answer?
what that is. Yeah, final answer, Lightning. I know it's
Riley Hunter. She spells Hunter with an X because I assume regular Riley Hunter was taken on Twitter.
all right.
How can Twitter make me feel so bad about a win?
What does that mean?
Yesterday. Oh, I assume Riley's a dude, maybe? I don't know. Riley might be a guy. I said her. I shouldn't assume gender. Apologize. They.
Said.
Riley said, how can Twitter make me feel so bad about a win? So yesterday, the Leafs win 3-2
In the shootout. Yep.
but they don't play so great. They don't play the best hockey.
No.
And Twitter will point that out aggressively.
Yeah, so
So as an expert on the platform, on that little app in your phone or your desktop web page, how can you, as a human, feel good about a win when Twitter keeps telling you that the Leafs didn't play well even though they got 2 points?
Twitter, you get like technological vertigo. Like you get completely sucked into your phone and you forget that there's a world outside of it. And what I've gotten better at over the last year, still not great, but better at, is like I can't tell you how many times I've been looking at my phone and the contents on my phone, whatever app I'm looking at, usually Twitter, is making me unhappy. And I'm staring down angrily at my phone and I go, you know, you could be doing any number of anything else.
Literally anything else in the universe, actually.
You could drop what you're doing. Walk out of the house unannounced and go get a donut. You
could go climb Mount Everest.
take the dogs for a walk. I'm sure they would really appreciate it. They're bored anyway.
Or climb Mount Everest.
You could climb Mount Everest.
Thank you.
Or do something else crazy. Fire your car into space and land it safely back down on
your
Earth.
Tesla into
Fund the project by selling flamethrowers.
Is Elon Musk the greatest living human? Because I'm starting to lean that way.
I saw a tweet that was like, there's a lot of super villain red flags going off here.
That's really funny.
Yeah. No, but yeah, if Twitter makes you unhappy, put it down.
Okay.
Put it down. You're not prisoner to Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Literally shut your phone off. That one's hard. But like, I remember we had a conversation a few months ago, and I was talking about how I was in like a bad mood, and I said like, "Oh, I read Twitter like first thing when I woke up," and you're like, "There's actual science behind why you shouldn't do that."
Yeah. I don't remember the conversation, but yeah, I probably said that because that's a thing I say often.
There's so many times where like I had a nice like pre-bed snuggle with my wife, and like we talk about things and we laugh, okay, good night. And I turn over and I read my phone for the next 5 minutes, and it erases all the goodwill that I built up in that moment, in that beautiful moment with my soulmate.
Mm-hmm.
No, Costanza it. Go out on a high note, shut the stupid thing off.
Yeah, you should try this thing of turning your phone off.
I've thrown my phone into the hall because I know I know I'm not getting up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not about learning how to handle Twitter better, which I suppose there are ways. Don't try not to let things bother you as much, which is much easier said than done. But literally use the app less.
Okay. Final question, and then we're going to take off.
Hey.
From Paul Ross, former news intern at NBC Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Thoughts on NBA trade deadline?
Good. I was about to say, are we getting to the basketball? So here's my understanding. The Cavaliers were traded.
So the Cleveland Cavaliers decided to trade everybody today.
They kept, I think, LeBron, Kevin Love, and J.R. Smith. And that's it.
And Iman Shumpert. No, Iman Shumpert went out on a deal. Tristan Thompson they kept because nobody wanted him.
Is he bad now?
He's never been that great.
I thought he was okay.
No, he's never been that great.
Okay,
Also, Kardashian curse is apparently a thing, they say.
Sounds like it's for sure a thing.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the basketball dealings?
What are my thoughts? Well, Tyler Dello had a really funny tweet. He's like, in like a very Torontonian voice, how does this affect the Raptors? And I mean, that was my first thought because, I pay attention to basketball highlights and all that, and the Cavs have been losing so much lately, and I look at the standings, and the Raptors had that really good win over the Celtics the other day. I'm like, hey, they could actually do this year. And I look at the Cavs, and I go, well, there's another huge threat neutralized. It's basically they just got to get past Boston. But now I see the Cavs make all these moves, and I'm worried. I don't know the answer, but I'm worried that they're better now, and the threat is back on the board.
Yeah, so it's never been they just need to get past Boston. Like that's been a thing there because the Cavs have been so bad this entire fall. Yeah, and I shouldn't say fall, the entire winter because they went on like a 12-game winning streak in the fall and then they got really bad in the winter.
Which is mind blowing to me.
The Cavs have LeBron James, so it's never been okay. It's not a threat anymore. And now that they've overturned their entire roster in one day and they got rid of all the garbage and brought in all these fresh legs, they're a threat again. They're even more of a threat again. So it's scary.
I know about Isaiah Thomas. So he was injured after the huge blockbuster deal in the summer.
Yes.
And how many games did he play?
He wasn't injured after. He was injured during that trade.
Right.
So, he was supposed to have surgery. He had surgery at the end of last season because he was playing injured all last year. Had surgery on his back, and then they don't even know if he's healthy. He comes back. He plays
back surgery?
Yeah, it was back surgery.
I would never trade for someone with a wonky back.
No. So he all this year he doesn't play. Comes back. I think it's mid-December. Up until then, till now, he plays 15 games with the Cavs.
And that's it.
In those 15 games, he is a cancer in the locker room. After every game, after every practice, there's a quote from Isaiah Thomas about how nobody has any effort. Nobody here is trying. The guys I know run for balls. Nobody's running for balls here. Kevin Love was injured and he missed a game on a Sunday. And on the Monday, all of a sudden, a rumor comes out. I forget who had the scoop. It was probably Woj.
Yeah, probably.
Somebody in the Cavs locker room thinks Kevin Love is faking his injury and got a day off.
So that's how it started. Because I heard it was they made it sound like the whole team like ganged up on him and were like, "You're not sick," but it was just Isaiah Thomas.
So they had a team meeting, a closed door team meeting, and on a team meeting, nothing's supposed to come out. There aren't supposed to be leaks to the media after a player only meeting. So they had their player only meeting, and then the Tuesday or the Monday night, everyone's like, "Oh, someone in the meeting thinks Kevin Love's hand wasn't actually injured," and then it comes out like the Tuesday. Isaiah Thomas called out Kevin Love for faking an injury on the Sunday. And it's like, come on, dude. You just joined this team and you're accusing this guy you don't even know who you've been playing 14 games or 10 games with at this point of faking an injury? Like, why are you disrupting this locker room?
That was a very interesting example of, I think, people jumping on the wrong people. Because I remember something coming out about Isaiah Thomas and personality issues, which basically just means he's a jerk, right? Coming out. But that story came out shortly after the playoffs where he notoriously, like, wasn't his sister killed or something like that? And then he played the next day or that day?
Yeah, game 1, I think, of the playoffs before it happened, his sister died on the Saturday, I believe, and then the Sunday is game 1, and he played in that game.
That's crazy. And then, so the story comes out that he's got attitude issues or whatever, and people go, well, how dare you say that about a player who did this? 15 games in with the Cavs.
Yeah.
So
and
maybe there's something there. I mean, it's not like, LeBron James is a pretty big ego to contend with.
Oh, my God, the biggest.
It's LeBron James.
But
does he get paid to be the GM as well? Because
he should.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they trade IT to LA because they didn't have a choice. You couldn't continue the season with him there if they wanted to win anything. And now, he gets traded to LA today.
Yes.
Around 5 p.m. Trade deadline closed at 3 p.m. similar to the NHL. Around 5, rumor comes out. Isaiah told his agent that he doesn't want to come off the bench in LA. And Magic Johnson, it's said in a press conference, Lonzo Ball is our starting point guard. So it's not about who starts, it's about the minutes you play. And then shortly after, Isaiah Thomas, before he even gets on this team, is already fucking shit up.
So is he just short Dwight Howard?
Kind of. Except Dwight Howard isn't as vocal. Dwight Howard just doesn't try.
Oh.
Just
doesn't try.
Isaiah Thomas is just out here causing shitstorms wherever he go. And I don't know why. It's weird. It's a weird situation. But if Cleveland wanted to win, they need to get him out, and they got him out. So let's see how Cleveland plays now.
Yeah, so again, basketball knowledge pretty limited, but I know there are rumors that LeBron was thinking about going to the Lakers or something in the summer. So I said, does this make it so that, like, this is actually kind of smart. The Cavs trade Isaiah Thomas to the Lakers so that LeBron won't sign there. You told me the opposite is true.
Yes. So with the trade to the Cavs, the Lakers actually dumped a whole bunch of salary onto the Cavs, and I think it was a 3-way deal. So a couple other teams, or one other team, got in some of the money. And IT is a free agent at the end of this year. So it's not like LeBron's going there and playing with him. Anyways, he's not re-signing in LA. So this frees up a whole bunch of money for the Lakers to go out and sign LeBron. So Cleveland kind of helped the Lakers be in a better position this summer to sign LeBron, which is crazy.
So Isaiah Thomas single-handedly ruined the Cleveland Cavaliers.
For now.
In a way,
unless Cleveland goes out and they win the championship this year and they beat Golden State somehow. Or Houston.
So they're the team to beat, eh? Still?
In the East, I would still put them number 1 and probably the Raps number 2.
No, I meant Golden State.
Oh, Golden State, yeah. Until Golden State doesn't have the 4-headed monster that they have, they're the number 1.
Win, man.
Me too. It'd be cool.
are you a Raptors fan? Like, that's your team?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. It's
the team I root for.
For a long time in the city, like, I feel like there were a lot of basketball fans who liked the Raptors, but that wasn't their team.
No, I feel like, that's definitely a thing that happened. But now I think it's kind of changing where you become, like, because this group is really a group you can latch on to.
I want them to win because I feel like I can't imagine them getting closer than this.
No, this is it.
Yeah, like 2 legitimate superstars. One of the best team benches in the league.
Easily.
I'm just regurgitating shit I've heard.
I heard Michael Grange say this one time on the broadcast.
Well, I mean, like, I went to a game last weekend and I did a little bit of research, and it's like Fred VanVleet is very good, and I watched him and I went, he is good. Like,
no, it's true, he's good. Yeah. But they have one of the best benches. This is their opportunity. I was disappointed. They were rumored to be going after DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah.
But that never came to fruition. So I'm a little disappointed in that.
And they got rid of Bruno Caboclo. My God. Bruno Caboclo.
But
who'd they get?
He was they got somebody who's very similar to Bruno in terms of, hey, this is a late round draft that didn't really work out.
All right.
Yeah, Bruno was never
Second
meant for
round
here.
is late round. I love
do you remember the famous quote about Bruno being 2 years away from being 2 years away?
No.
When he was originally drafted, I forget who the commentator was, but they're like, okay, this kid, Bruno Caboclo, was just drafted. What do you think of him? And the commentator goes, this kid, it's a terrible pick by Masai. He's 2 years away from being 2 years away. And the guy who said it was right, because I think he played like 20 games the entire time his stint here in Toronto.
I remember
and he was a late first-round pick. It wasn't good.
I remember he, like he was the pick that no one actually knew about. Like, wasn't he like people literally didn't know who he was?
Exactly. Yeah.
I still love. I mean, I'm gonna go back to hockey because I can't help myself. The radio station, the Fan 590, back in the day, like, you know, not everyone was using the internet and everything for their research. For the 99 draft or whatever it was, 10th overall, the Leafs picked Nick Antropov. And they had like their top 50 list out. List of the top 50 prospects printed out so they could just read off things about them. And they're going through the stack going, who is this Kazakhstani guy that the Leafs just got? And they had no information on Nick Antropov.
And look how that turned out.
He wasn't a bad NHL player.
It was pretty good. Yeah, that's what I mean. It was a pretty.
Oh, you weren't being.
No, I was being like that. Look how that worked out. Yeah.
And then he got injured a lot, and people wrote articles about how he had weak bones because he grew up in Kazakhstan.
He grew up eating sawdust.
Yeah. he grew to 6'5" by accident.
Yeah. He ate crackers all day, and like no.
And that was it.
And that was it. Anyways.
And this has been Basketball Talk with Jesse and Steve.
That's it.
The Raptors are going to win.
Easily.
Good.
LeBron's coming here in the summer, along with Steph Curry, James Harden. They're all it's gonna be a lineup of Lowry, DeRozan, Harden, LeBron, Curry. That's our starting five.
Just afford it.
Oh yeah, easily.
It's fine.
You have a couple dollars to spare, right?
I got here. Let me check. I'm gonna help the Raptors right now.
Okay, let's see what you got. Oh,
$40.
Wow,
$40, LeBron. Come to Toronto with our green money, our green shiny money.
They also have green money.
Yeah, as I said that. No, but this is Canada blending in. This is our only green money.
Is our green money like having green money?
Shut up, Jesse.
Is our green money
our
a backpack?
See-through money?
Is it a backpack full of green money?
It's like having a backpack full of money if you come play for the Toronto Raptors. He would never.
Oh, God, no.
No, he would absolutely never.
Los Angeles exists.
Wait.
All right. Peace out.
$42.
Do you think LeBron knows what a toonie is?
No. I don't think he knows what a coin is.
This is done. Take care, everyone.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.